So I want to talk about the coronavirus here. And a lot of people, I know there's a lot of Trump people that just think, oh, coronavirus doesn't exist, right? Whatever. Like, just ignore them. They're probably going to watch this video, comment in the, scroll down. They're there, right? You're going to see them. Coronavirus, 99% survive. Like, they're all dumb as hell. But let's actually talk about numbers. Let's talk about science. Let's talk about data. And I've got an article here. This is barely an article, this is just a study. The color of coronavirus, COVID-19's deaths by race and ethnicity in the United States. And this is last updated October 15th, so a couple days ago. And this is by the APM Research Laboratory. Our ongoing Color of Coronavirus project monitors how and where COVID-19 mortality is inequitably impacting certain communities to guide policy and community response to these disproportionate deaths. The coronavirus has claimed more than 217,000 American lives through October 13th. And again, I think the number is way closer to 250,000. Throughout the summer, the Trump administration put out a rule that changed how coronavirus deaths were calculated, and as a result, the numbers started slowing down a little bit. I think this outbreak is much, much, much worse than what we are led to believe based on that. And a lot of people just forgot about that. They just forgot. Oh yeah, no. Just randomly in the summer, people started dying of pneumonia way, way, way at higher rates, right? I don't know, man. It was just like, first you had corona, and then all of a sudden there's a pneumonia wave. I don't know where it came from. It couldn't have come from coronavirus, right? But, we're seeing a massive uptick in pneumonia victims lately. Isn't that really interesting? Really makes you think, right? Right around the time where the Trump administration put out a new rule that, like, changing the way the coronavirus patients are counted. Really interesting. Definitely makes you think. About 22,000 more than our last update 4 weeks ago, averaging nearly 800 deaths per day. We know the race and ethnicity for 97% of the cumulative deaths in the United States. And you can, again, I highly recommend checking out this whole thing on your own. But let's look at this. We can see a graph over time showing that it's pretty consistently affecting certain communities more so than others, right? Maybe at the very start of these things were slightly different. But as we can see, right, black people overwhelmingly disproportionately affected by coronavirus. And these are the numbers. And these numbers are sickening and ridiculous. And this is why I say that the coronavirus is a genocide on poor people. That is what this is. It is a genocide on poor people, and poor people happen to be disproportionately non-white compared to the rich classes, right? This is a way to get rid of those that they deem undesirable. You really think that if white people were disproportionately to all the other races and populations affected by coronavirus that the Trump administration would have acted exactly the same? No, of course not. They know the numbers, they're aware of the numbers, and this is why they choose to do nothing about them. The president is out there saying coronavirus is I was in the hospital for a day. Sure, I had socialist healthcare, the best healthcare in the world, and I know that most people in America don't have health insurance, but that's okay, because America has beaten the virus. Don't let the virus dominate your life. Go fuck yourself, Donald. These are the documented nationwide actual mortality impacts from COVID-19 data for all race groups. 1 in 920 black Americans has died. 1 in 920. That is not that get coronavirus. That is of the whole population of black people in this country. Like, think about that. Think about that. What is going on here in this fucking hellhole that we're living in? What is going on? 1 in 1,110 indigenous Americans has died. Haven't they been through enough? Haven't these people been through enough historically? Really? But again, this is why the government doesn't give a fuck. This is why. 1 in 1,360 Latino Americans has died. 1 in 1,450 Pacific Islander Americans has died. 1 in 1,840 white Americans has died. 1 in 2,200 Asian Americans has died. Again, all of these numbers are staggering, but the difference when it comes to race breakdowns and other populations is absurd. It is obscene. And this is the key reason why the government is doing nothing for you, because their plan is working. Yeah, sure, right? I want to highlight something here, and I want this is something I've been thinking a lot about, and this is what really is why fascists are such terrible people. Now, a couple days ago, I had this like debate with a fascist, and near the end of the debate, I asked them how many people they agree with they're willing to kill just to kill all the gay people, and they said that they're willing to kill somewhere around 4% of their own people just to justify the ability to kill 100% of gay people, right? This is their ideology. They don't give a shit, right? This is, like, again, you need to understand this. They don't give a shit how many of their own die. As long as they themselves are okay and their personal circle is okay, everything else doesn't matter, right? If they can destroy, right, the non-white communities to the point that they are, yeah, sure, some white communities are going to be decimated. Fuck them. I don't care. They're not in my friend groups. They're not on my Facebook page. They're not on my speed dial. They're not on my email chains. Fuck them. I don't give a shit. As long as everyone else is dying, that's fine. The white people can die. They're like sacrificial pawns. And that is this ideology of fascism that we are seeing in this country. The ideology that says, yes, there is no such thing as a sacrifice not worthy of, putting forward the ultimate goal. This is why in the 50s, the 40s, right, they were doing things like hysterectomies on black women in this country to give them, more rights. There was actually a program in North Carolina that said if you are a black person, man or woman, and if you get like, a hysterectomy, for example, or a vasectomy, for example, you were like paid, you had to do that in order to be eligible for certain welfare programs. In the state of North Carolina, this was in the 40s, I think, maybe the 50s. What? Right, but this is the through line of this country, of making sure that, yeah, we're going to kill some white people in the process, but as long as number one are the non-whites, it's okay. This is why this country is so terrible, and this is not like a Trump thing. Trump is exacerbating this, yes, but this has been part of our country's DNA since its inception. George Washington, when he was giving his inaugural address, was wearing the teeth that he stole from his slaves. That echoes throughout the entire history and present history of the United States of America, and it must be understood. It must be understood. You have to realize how bad things are. And that's my speech.